So just a bit of physique update. 4 days into a deload. Is it 4 days? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4th day into the deload. So this is how things are looking, a little bit flat, but weight is coming down. Weight is coming down. So you would have seen me getting on the scale this morning. Currently 179 pounds. So I woke up at 4, weighed myself, realised it was too early. I was 179.2. Got back up and then went back to bed, got up at 6 and then was 179 on the dot. So how things are moving right now, definitely happy with how things are shaping up. Midsection's getting a little bit tighter. Lines are starting to come through the legs. And yeah, we're starting to get a little bit more shape come through, which is nice. But just feeling mega flat right now. Definitely feel the effects of less food. I'm just at that stage where I don't feel like I look the best, but I don't feel like I look the leanest either. And these are the points where it's actually a bit of a mental head fuck. But overall, to be honest, I'm happy with how things are shaping up. I'm just happy that I took a deload when I did, even though I didn't actually want to take a deload. I had to, because I felt normally my sign for a deload and taking time off the gym is when I feel a lack of motivation to get to the gym. I do not want to be here. The main thing throughout this process is to make sure that 1, I enjoy it, and 2, I give absolutely everything to these next now 91 days for the first show, and then we have another 2 weeks after that, so about another 14 days after that until we get to the second show. So yeah, happy with the way things are going, but can't wait to get back to training. But it weren't the case this time. This time my body was just telling me it's time to take a rest. So went for a massage on Monday because of my back, and then by Wednesday I was fucked again. So decided to take the time off to give myself and my body some time to recover, to then get back in the gym after a full deload. And yeah, the last thing you want to do throughout this prep, and the last thing I want to do throughout this prep, is give myself or put myself into a position where I'm so fatigued, so buried and so stressed that my body ain't responsive anymore, my body weight don't like drop anymore, body fat is and becomes a bit of a stubborn cunt, and weight that I'm lifting and the amount of load that I'm lifting starts to decrease, which when you're on a prep is the last thing you want. What built the tissue also maintains the tissue, so I want to make sure that I maintain as much strength as possible. But yeah, like I said, I'm happy with the fact that I actually took some time off, because I've come in a lot tighter than before, and I'm actually 2 pounds down from Monday, which is nice. So yeah, very happy with the way things are going, and hopefully back in the gym tomorrow, maybe, we'll see. Probably Tuesday, depends on how I'm feeling in the morning. But with the way that I'm feeling today, I really want to train, but I know that I need today off. One last final day to put myself in a position where I can train again, and go through the full prep in the best way possible, and actually maintain a lot of muscle that I built, rather than running myself to the ground and losing a lot of tissue, because that will be the last thing that I want. I need to come in as full as possible, because I ain't going to be the biggest on stage. I'm not naive. I ain't going to be the biggest, and I know I ain't, especially now stepping into the bodybuilding category, because I'm no longer doing classic, because I've realised there is nothing classic about my physique. So we're going straight into bodybuilding, straight into a different category compared to last year, and hopefully I just feel like I look my best, and I bring my best, and I do 100% throughout this process, and I give 100% to it. So yeah, what we're going to do now, go get a haircut. But yeah, that's the posing done, that's the physique update. What we're going to do now, get my clubber back on, go for a haircut, which is booked for 11, and then we're going to get back, eat the first meal, and probably break the fast at around 12. If I've not said before in a video, I do like to make sure that my first meal is a little bit later on, because I want to delay my first meal, delay the window that I've got to actually eat my meals, so I don't end up fucking ravenous in the evening. Go for a haircut, sort this fucking mop out, and then we can go back and eat. Turn this fucking thing up. Why does the battery never work? Come on, turn up. I'm just taking little steps at the moment like a fucking idiot. Turn up, come on. Oh shit. Come on. The bad thing about this, the fucking remote never worked. All I want is to get some steps in. I've got another 1,000 to get, come on. And we're at 2 p.m. Come on. Oh, God. Here we go. That's what we want. Whoa. So we got some content for you guys earlier on today. We're back now, just do some steps. So it's 2 p.m. I've had a trim, if you not noticed. So I don't look homeless anymore, which is nice. But yeah, this morning was about content. getting that boxed off nice and early. Still got 3 days in the week to be able to get cardio in, so I did take today as a sort of a full day off. We're still resting. We're still fully resting, like I mentioned, until probably tomorrow, if I'm honest. I'm probably going to train tomorrow because I feel I'm itching to get back to it, and this flat feeling, it's, yeah, and also my body weight going down. It's a sign I'm less stressed, less fatigued, and ready to get back to training. But yeah, some food for thought on this one, on this fine walking pad. We're going to talk about making it work for you. So obviously with what I do, and I openly say this, it's a lot easier for me to be able to put my priorities and my focus around bodybuilding, eating my meals, training. For a lot of people, it ain't going to be that case. It ain't going to be that way. I used to work for a phone company as a salesperson. Sorry, not sales manager, salesperson. And yeah, I did that for 5 years. And whilst I was doing that, I was still training, but I found the eating side of things hard. So I'd always train out. This was part-time. This was when I was at uni, but there were periods through summer when uni went on that I'd work full-time. I'd be doing 40 hours a week. And I know how difficult it can be when you're working a full-time job whilst managing your training, whilst also managing food. It's hard, and my life revolves around this now. So for me, it is made, or has been made, a lot easier. But there's a couple of things that I'd definitely work on. If I was to rewind time and I was to go back to when I was a sales assistant in a shop, would be a couple of things. One, find a training time that works best for me and stick to it. Have a regime. Rather than just training every single day like I used to, or training 5 days a week with no structure, have a set days that I'm going to train, and preset it when I'm going to actually get started with the week. So Sunday night, just about to go into a fresh week, fresh working week, then I'd know when I'm going to be training, how many days am I going to be training in a row, when am I going to take a rest day, when am I then going to get back to training. That'd give me a much better routine, a much better structure with my training, and just give me an opportunity to get the most out of the week and have some level of organisation with my training. Next is going to be the nutrition. So I'd always struggle with that, always. When I worked at a shopping centre in Leeds, the shop that I worked at, there was a Krispy Kreme donut right outside the shop. Now, that in itself, every single shift I did, and especially the periods when I worked full time, I'd probably get a Krispy Kreme donut, and then I'd go upstairs to the food hall. So you probably know which shopping centre I'm on about if we're talking about Leeds. So if you're from Leeds, so White Rose Shopping Centre, I'd go upstairs to the food court, and depending on how I'm feeling would depend on the choice that I get. There was a couple of options. You had McDonald's, you had KFC, you had Subway, you had a Spud place, which is like for jacket potatoes. And if I were feeling good, I'd go for a Subway. But I'd probably still get some sweet treats. So I'd probably get the Subway, and I'd still get the pack of cookies. Other days, go for a Mackey's, go for some nuggets, go for a burger. Other days I'd get a KFC, other days I'd get a Spud, a jacket potato. Now, with all of those options, I wasted a lot of money anyway. Just buying food when I was out, not having any sort of structure. I was starving across the day, I didn't have a lot of energy because I didn't really have any consistency with the food. But one thing I'd do if I were to look back, and if I were to go back to that, would be to have some sort of consistency with my meals. I'd have a day in the week where I would go into the food court, go to Krispy Kreme, get a donut, then go to the food court and have a meal of my choosing, a meal of my choice, maybe one day of the week. And then 6 days in the week, I'd have a level of consistency there with my food. I'd have a couple of options at each meal. I'd decide what meals I'm going to have before I get into the day. So for me now, I'll pretty much follow a meal plan. So that's what works for me right now. That's what I get on best with. But if I were to do it all again, and I'm going to pre-track my days, and I'm going to just going to track my calories, I'd have a couple of options at each meal. So when I woke up, I'd know what breakfast I'm going to have based off of a couple of options that I actually enjoy. When it comes to my lunch, when I'm at work, I'd think about, okay, what can I take to work? How can I save myself some money? What can I make that's going to be simple, easy, and I can put in a prep tub and take with me to work and put in the microwave when I'm there. And then when it comes to maybe some sort of snack whilst I'm at work to keep me going and to sort of stop me from nipping out the shop and going to a Greg's, it'd probably be something like take a protein shake with me, go to Tesco, grab a pre-made protein shake, or take some protein powder with me to work in a tub, put some water in it and then give it a mix and turn it into a bit of a paste so I can have that whilst I was at work with a bit of dark chocolate. And then when it comes to my dinner, I'd make sure I'd have a dinner, and then after my dinner, some sort of dessert, because I generally finish the day with something sweet because I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. And I typically like to finish my day with something sweet, even now when I'm on prep. So dinner, I'd have a couple of options again, but that's where I'd probably be a little bit more flexible. So I'd have the option of a few different protein sources, a few different carbohydrate sources or carb sources. And then when it comes to the sweet treat, that's where it'd be more consistent. I'd probably choose yogurt, Greek yogurt with some dark chocolate with a little bit of whey mixed in, some berries. And if I needed to increase my protein intake a little bit for that day, I might have a protein shake. But this is what I do to be consistent. That's how I'd be consistent right now. It's just be a little bit more prepared, have a little bit better time management, and understand in advance what I'm going to eat. Because the issue that I had before was my training was going to shit and I couldn't train properly, and I didn't have a lot of energy for my sessions because I wasn't eating right, I wasn't fueling myself right. So if I were to go to work in a full-time job, and a job that didn't allow me to have a majority of my focus on this, then being more organized would be the biggest thing for me that I'd work on. And it's just making sure that I understand how the week is going to go, or have a set sort of baseline or skeleton structure with how it's going to go, so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for the week. Otherwise you're pissing in the wind, and that's when things don't really go to plan and you feel a lot less organized. And this is why I was such an unorganized person in general. Like even now to this day, there's still things I'm working on with my own organization, my own time management. I'm just outworking the negative self-belief of you're not organized, oh, you can't be organized, oh, you can't do this. Because those thoughts still go through my head. I still think, oh, you can't do that, oh, you're not organized, you're not an organized person, you ain't got good time management skills, you ain't this, you ain't that. But again, that's just built into me and ingrained into me from previous bad habits and always telling myself these things in the past. And that's pretty much what I based my personality off, was not being organized, being a clumsy bastard, which is never going to change, having no time management skills, being that person who is a little bit late at times. I've never been late since I've been a coach. Since I was PTing on the gym floor, I've never been late. And it comes down to the fact of, I realized I didn't need to be someone who was unorganized. I didn't need to be someone who was shit with my time management. But I had to tell myself that that's what I didn't want to be. I also had to tell myself that I was more organized. I am more organized. I do have better time management. And I've just learned of different ways and adopted things from different people. And to be fair, it's a lot easier with Tash because she's a very organized person. So I take a lot of my organization from her. And I find it a lot easier now to be organized because of Tash, and just adopting some of the things that she's done and put it into my own life. So with meals, more organized. My timings of meals, generally more organized. But I also am flexible in a way where I understand my body. So like today, for example, pushing my first meal back to 12, which you wouldn't have seen. But after my haircut, came back, had a meal, waiting. Now I'm gonna have my next meal once I've got my steps in. And it's just understanding as well. You can have this degree of flexibility when you need to, when you want to. But then on the days where you are busiest, that's when you need to get a bit more organized and use your time better and pre-plan your food, your training, and just have a bit of a schedule that you can follow every single week, which makes your life a lot easier. So yeah, and being on top of things. When you're on top of things, when you feel like you're on top of things, you can be more organized. On top of my steps, which means they're going to get boxed off early, which then means I can focus a little bit more on work on my laptop, which means I can then do a little bit more content and focus on this and focus on editing my content, which I've done in the gym this morning. And then I can just cruise through the day stress-free. But for anyone that works a full-time job, you can feel the same as well. You just need to understand what you're capable of, what you're willing to be able to do, what you're able to do, because everyone's got different time in the day. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I hate the saying, we've all got the same 24 hours. The reality is, we don't. I would be naive to say I've got the same 24 hours as someone else who works 40 hours a week in an office or 35 hours a week laying bricks. It's a different level of time. We've all got different times available to be able to get shit done. But then it's about finding what works for you, finding out how many days you can stick to when you're training, how many meals you can actually have in a day, how can you best fit those meals into your day, and understand there's going to be a level of variability with each day based off of how the day goes. But when you find that consistency and when you find what works for you, your life is going to be a lot easier. A lot easier. But anyway, how many steps have we got? Currently at 10.5 from when I last checked. Let the app refresh. Probably going to go for another 5 minutes. Yep, 11.5k. So we're going to go for another 5 minutes. And then the rest of the steps, because I'm due about 12 to 15k, the rest of the steps will be done literally walking around the kitchen and making meals. But yeah, that's just room for thought today. We all have the capability to do something. It's just finding what you can actually stick to for yourself. We're not all able to have more time to prioritize this, so you're not going to be able to stick to this like someone else who's got a little bit more time to focus and prioritize their training, their bodybuilding, if you want to get into the bodybuilding side of things. Other people need a bit more time. Other people need a bit more time to understand what their capabilities are and what they can stick to. And that just comes with effort, consistency, and knowing what your schedule actually is. But you won't know what your schedule is unless you start taking note of what it is that you're getting up to in a week and how your week could potentially improve. But yeah, food for thought for anyone that's struggling. Because I know for a fact I could have done with some advice when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, just being a bit more organized on how I can stick to it, and looking up to people that just had a lot more free time than me to be able to put their time and effort into this was what I aspired to have, which I do now. But at the same time, it would also have been nice to have some sort of realistic advice of what I could particularly do. Realistic advice is you have to do what you can do and what you can stick to and how you can be consistent. But also remember that there's going to be elements of your day where you might be making excuses, and it's understanding what's an excuse and what is an actual reason for you to not be able to do something. Is there an actual reason, or is it an excuse? Once you find that balance, regardless of how much time you have, you can make a lot of progress. It just, at the end of the day, comes down to consistency with a plan that suits you, which is pretty much what I focus on with every single one-to-one client. Understanding they don't have the same time as me, unless they're a coach. They don't have the same amount of time free in a day as me. They might work different full-time jobs, and they'll need a little bit more freedom and a little bit more flexibility with the planning. And that's where having someone there to guide you makes a lot of difference. But yeah, another thing for me would be get a coach earlier on. Get a coach earlier on, because that has been a game changer for my own development as a coach, understanding what works and also keeping me accountable to make sure that I stick to my goals. So yeah, you can never go wrong when you've got someone guiding you and keeping you accountable along the way. Let's get tucked in. So we've got the second meal of the day, which is going to be the omelette, the legendary omelette plus the bagel. Currently using no added salt or sugar for the tomato ketchup, but yeah, this is going to be end of the video for today. Me and Tash are going to be off out to the cinema in a bit. But yeah, what I typically tend to do when I'm when I'm eating a meal is I'll put YouTube on, generally something bodybuilding related, or if I want to switch away from bodybuilding, it'll probably be something fighting related, or a podcast, one of them. And then today we got Cuba on the YouTube. But yeah, eat the meal, chill out for a little bit, and then I'll edit a video, and then we're gonna book something for the cinema tonight. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video today, guys. Bit of a short, bit of a sweet one. Just wanted to give you all a bit of a physique update so I can keep the updates going on YouTube as well as my social media on my Instagram. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, as always, drop the channel and subscribe if you're new around here. It's getting bigger, and it's getting bigger quicker than I thought it would do. We're at 129 subscribers from today. So if I can get 150 subscribers in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be buzzing. But yeah, let's get tucked in. Drop the video a like, drop a comment if you enjoyed the video, and also subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. But yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.